Right now on KGW, a Washington County Sheriff's deputy shot while serving an eviction notice 2 years ago is now suing the shooter's apartment complex. Why, he says the owners didn't do their part to let them know the potential dangers. Plus, the head of one of Oregon's biggest companies says that they volunteered to help clean up our freeways, but their efforts were shot down, as ODOT says it's also had to put graffiti removal on the back burner. Then, local teachers and students are getting ready to head back to school, but before they get back to the classroom, they need some essential supplies first. How you can help ahead on KGW News at noon. Thank you for joining us. I'm China Green. Our top story here at noon, a Washington County Sheriff's deputy who was shot while serving an eviction notice at a local apartment complex is suing the owners of the complex for more than $23 million. The lawsuit claims that the owners were negligent, saying that the complex should have done more to let law enforcement know what they were walking into. Alma McCarty has a story.
On July 26, 2023, patrol cars descended on the apartment building. First responders brought in a helicopter to rush Washington County Civil Deputy Charles Dozay to Emmanuel Hospital in critical condition.
The day that I won't soon forget.
He'd spend 2 weeks there after he was shot 7 times, including twice in the head, causing him to lose his left eye and multiple teeth. His daughter spoke with KGW before he was released.
I trust his skills and I trust his knowledge and I trust his abilities. But of course, just being in this line of duty, you do have fear that you have to work through.
Deputy Dozay was serving an eviction notice to a 34-year-old named Chris Graves. He told KGW last year this was a routine assignment.
Our day consists of serving subpoenas, restraining orders, orders of assistance, restraining order move-outs, and also evictions.
But this would turn out to be a life-changing call as the tenant started shooting after deputies broke down the door.
There was nothing in the paperwork that showed that there was any sort of risk.
A new $23 million lawsuit filed almost 2 years to the day after the shooting claims the apartment owners and the people managing it were negligent.
My dad was the first one in and immediately got shot. Like, how do you then prepare for that?
The lawsuit claims not only did the apartment owners and managers fail to take steps to de-escalate the situation in the months leading up to the eviction, they allegedly did not let Deputy Dozay know the tenant might pose a danger to himself or others. Documents detail how Graves stopped paying rent that spring and was uncooperative with property management, and how he covered the windows and was heard screaming by other tenants in the middle of the night. After this several-hour standoff, a SWAT team found the suspect dead inside the apartment.
That was Alma McCarty reporting. The sheriff's office says Dozay remains on leave. We also reached out to the various defendants named in the lawsuit, but only Pacific Urban Investors, a real estate investment business, responded to us saying that they don't comment on pending litigation. A Salem man was sentenced to more than 8 years in prison after using what authorities say was a fake explosive vest to rob multiple businesses. So take a look at your screen here. Here's what we're talking about. Prosecutors say Nicholas Contreras Salomon hit 2 Woodburn grocery stores earlier this year demanding money while showing workers that he was wearing a vest that looked like it was strapped with dynamite. Prosecutors say at one point he also hit a button that activated red flashing lights on the vest. A bomb squad later determined that the vest did not actually contain explosives. Portland police and fire are investigating a suspected arson at a playground outside a local nonprofit. Investigators say someone intentionally set fire to this playground Sunday morning at Cairo Academy on Southeast 139th and Stark. Cairo serves immigrant, refugee, and low-income families and had just finished building the structure. Investigators are now looking into if this was a bias crime. All right, it is primary election day in the state of Washington. That means our viewers in Southwest Washington, including Clark, Cowlitz, and Skamania counties, have to have their ballots postmarked by today in order to have it count. You can also take your ballot to a drop box by 8 o'clock tonight. And for more information about what's at stake during today's primary, check out your local county website. All right, we are headed upstairs to the weather deck to find Rod Hill. There is sunshine on your hair, so that means that's going to be a good day, right?
You can tell, really?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. It's beautiful up here. Just losing any morning cooling, and we'll check out this afternoon's warming temperatures in a moment. But our big story is what I want to get to because it's somewhat unusual for the first week of August to have a Pacific front come in and contain somewhat widespread measurable rain, and we think that's what's going to happen first thing tomorrow morning. You can see the clouds on the satellite picture sitting offshore. Now we will see these clouds increasing this afternoon along the coast and this evening quickly into the valley as well. So this is the update in terms of how much rain some of the models are showing. And notice from Tillamook up to Astoria, a half of an inch, and about the same up into the Kelso Longview area, and more than a quarter of an inch of rain in Portland potentially. And then there's somewhat of a sharp drop off by the time you get down to Salem and then farther to the south. Salem, 11/100ths of an inch of rain. I mean, to me, even if the valley could pick up a 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rain on average from the Portland metro area, including Wilsonville up through Vancouver, that would be considered a pretty good soak for this time of the year. So that will be interrupting our morning commute tomorrow because that's when most of it's going to fall. And we'll look at the timing of that coming up in just a bit. There's Chinook Winds Casino Resort. It's been a nice day at the coast so far. Clouds will be increasing this afternoon, 61 degrees at high noon. And here's that view that I'm dealing with over the Rose City as I stand up here on the KGW weather deck, brought to you by Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking. We are at 71 degrees, so it stands to reason that we will get to 80 this afternoon. Going to be a nice afternoon, warmer than we've been, China. Again, more on that rain coming in tomorrow morning for your commute hours ahead of my complete forecast. Now from the weather deck, let's go back inside.
Thank you, Rod. Happening today, Manuel Espinoza will be sentenced to prison for supplying a fentanyl-laced pill to a 16-year-old Griffin Hoffman back in 2022. Hoffman died from the overdose. Our David Molka will be covering that sentencing this evening on KGW News at 6. Then tonight at 8, a KGW special will stream live at 8 o'clock on KGW+. You can download our streaming TV app for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Graffiti along freeways and covering highway signs has been a problem in Portland for years, and the Oregon Department of Transportation is responsible for cleaning that up. But after state lawmakers failed to pass a $14 billion transportation bill during last legislative session, ODOT says graffiti cleanup has been pushed down its list of priorities. ODOT says it's already facing laying off hundreds of employees due to the lack of funding, and that is before having to spend money to take care of graffiti.
With the end of the biennium and no change in our budget, we're having to pare back everything immediately.
Private donors have also helped fund cleanup efforts. That includes companies like Nike and big names like Columbia Sportswear CEO Tim Boyle. Boyle says that he chipped in more than $200 grand to clean up I-405, but he says the state also turned down offers for even more volunteer help.
I know of several institutions that are prepared to volunteer to clean up and remove graffiti, and they've not been allowed to do so by ODOT.
It's possible ODOT will receive enough state money to fund cleanup efforts during a special legislative session at the end of the month. But in the meantime, ODOT says the tagging will not be addressed. Hey, listen to this. In Washington County, a certified nursing assistant has been arrested for allegedly stealing a patient's credit card and using it on a shopping spree. A grand jury indicted Jeanette Collins right there on multiple charges, including criminal mistreatment and identity theft. Now, we're showing you her photo because they believe she may have other victims. Police say Collins worked at the OHSU Hillsborough Medical Center. Meantime, a former Fred Meyer employee was sentenced to more than 2 years in prison after stealing more than $60,000 from the store. In May, 44-year-old Rainbow Melody Stemet of Oregon City pleaded guilty to charges including aggravated theft. In March of 2023, she had worked at Fred Meyer for about 2 years when the retailer's loss prevention office noticed her taking cash from a self-checkout station. She told Oregon City police that she stole the money to support her gambling habit. She is now required to repay Fred Meyer for the money she stole. Clackamas County health officials are letting people know about a bat that tested positive for rabies. They say someone who came into contact with the bat at a home in Malala is getting treatment and the bat was euthanized. Health officials also say about 8% of bats that get tested have rabies. So they recommend vaccinating your pets, sealing any openings in your home, and the easiest tip of all, of course, just avoid having any contact with the bats. They say bats seen during daylight hours are even more likely to have rabies.